So hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the scapula. Now this is the right scapula which I have. This is its anatomical position. See, we hold it like this. Now the scapula in Latin means shoulder blade. Okay. Now it is a thin bone placed on the posterolateral aspect of the thoracic cage. Okay. Posterolateral aspect of the thoracic cage. Now coming to its surfaces, it has two surfaces. This is the costal surface, okay, and this is the dorsal surface. Alright, now it has three borders: superior border, lateral border, and a medial border. Okay, superior border, lateral border, and the medial border. Now it has three angles. Okay, this is the glenoid angle. Okay, this is the glenoid angle, this is the superior angle, and this is the inferior angle. Okay, now for side determination, the lateral or glenoid angle, okay, this is also called a lateral angle, is large and bears the glenoid cavity. Okay, it bears the glenoid cavity for articulation with the humerus. Okay, let me bring a humerus bone so that you understand it. So see, this is the right humerus, this is the glenoid cavity, this is the glenoid fossa actually. See, this is how it articulates. Alright, now coming to the dorsal surface, it is convex and is divided by the triangular spine. Okay, there is a triangular spine which divides it into the supraspinatus, the supraspinous and the infraspinous fossa. Okay, this is the supraspinous and this is the infraspinous. Okay, this is the spine of the scapula and it divides the dorsal surface into two halves. Okay, this is the supraspinous which is present above, and this is the infraspinous fossa. Now the costal surface, which was this one, it is occupied by the concave subscapular fossa. See, if you see it like this, see, this is actually concave in shape. Okay, now it is occupied by the subscapular fossa. Actually the subscapularis muscle is attached to it, so it's called the subscapular fossa. Alright, now it fits on the convex chest wall. Okay, now coming to the lateral border is the thickest one. Okay, compared to the medial border, the lateral border is thickest. Now it runs from the glenoid cavity, this glenoid cavity above, to the inferior angle below. See, this was the inferior angle of the scapula. Okay, it runs from the glenoid cavity till the inferior angle. Alright, now coming to its features, the costal surface or the subscapular fossa, it is concave. I told you that it is concave in shape, and it is directed medially and forwards. Okay, now it's directed medially. Medially means towards the body, and forwards. Okay, like this way. Now it is marked by three longitudinal ridges. See, the number of longitudinal ridges, 1, 2, 3. If you observe it clearly, alright, you can see it. There are three longitudinal ridges. Now another thick ridge adjoins the lateral border. Okay, there is a thick ridge which is adjoining with the lateral border. See, this is the thick ridge. Alright, this is the lateral border. Now the scapula has three important processes. Okay, see, this one right here, this is called the spinous process of the scapula. This is the acromion process. Okay, this is a spinoglenoid notch. See, this is not a process, just in case I told you. See, this is the spinoglenoid notch, this is the acromion process, this is the spinous process. Okay, this is the acromion process, and this one right here, this is called the coracoid process. Alright, Now you understood the three important processes. This is the acromion process, coracoid process, and this is the spinous process. Now the spinous process is actually like a triangle. See, this is its anterior border, this is the apex, this is the base, and this is the posterior border. Alright. Now spinous process has two lips. This is the upper lip and this is the lower lip. Okay. Now I told you about the spinoglenoid notch. From here the suprascapular nerve and vessels is passes. Okay. Now coming to the glenoid cavity over here. See, in the margin there is a fibrocartilaginous ring called the glenoid labrum. Okay. In the margin of the glenoid cavity there is a fibrocartilaginous ring called the glenoid labrum. Now this glenoid labrum helps in increasing the depth of the glenoid cavity so that there is well articulation of the humerus with the glenoid cavity. Okay. So there is a glenoid labrum. Okay. This labrum, it is also present in the hip joint. You know where? It's present in the acetabulum. Okay. In the acetabulum as well, there is a acetabular labrum which helps in articulation of the femur with the acetabulum. I will show you it in a later video. Now superior to this glenoid cavity, see over here, this is the superior glenoid tubercle. Okay, I think it's visible. See, this is the superior glenoid tubercle. Okay, over here, and inferiorly over here, this is the inferior glenoid tubercle. All right. Now this acromial end of the acromial process of the scapula, it articulates with the acromial end of the clavicle. See, this was the acromial end of the clavicle and this was the sternal end. Okay. See, it articulates in this fashion. See. Okay. In this way. Alright. So that was about it. Now coming to the superior glenoid tubercle. Okay, over here it gives attachment to the long head of biceps brachii. Okay, the superior glenoid tubercle gives attachment to the long head of the biceps brachii, and the inferior glenoid tubercle, this gives attachment to the long head of the triceps brachii. All right. Now let's discuss something about the borders. Okay. Now the superior border, see, the superior border of the scapula, it is the shortest. Okay. Now near the root of the coracoid process, okay, near the root of the coracoid process, you see here there is this depression. This is called the suprascapular notch. Okay, suprascapular notch. Now there is a ligament present over here. Okay, so that is called the suprascapular ligament. Okay. Now the lateral border is thick. Okay, at the upper end it bears the infraglenoid tubercle, I told you, and the medial border is thin. Okay, the medial border is thin. It extends from the superior angle to the inferior angle. Right. Now talking about the angles, the superior angle is covered by the trapezius. Okay, it's covered by the trapezius. The inferior angle is covered by the latissimus dorsi muscle. Okay. Now it moves forward round the chest when the arm is abducted. Okay. Now when there is abduction of the arm, so this moves forwards round the chest. All right. Now the lateral or the glenoid angle, it is broad and bears the glenoid cavity or fossa. All right. Now this is very important. See, this is directed forwards. Okay, laterally, forwards, and slightly upwards. See, laterally. See, this is the lateral away from the body, and forwards, then slightly upwards. Okay, laterally, forwards, slightly upwards, in this fashion. All right. Now talking once more about the processes, the spinous process. So I told you that it has two surfaces, the supraspinous and the infraspinous. Okay. Now this this posterior border, it is also called the crest of the spine. Okay, the posterior border of the spinous process is also called the crest of the spine. The crest has two lips, the upper and the lower, I told you. Now coming to the Ackermann process, now it has two borders. Okay, the Ackermann process has two borders. This one here, this is the medial border and this is the lateral border. Now it has two surfaces, one is the superior surface and one is the inferior surface. Okay, the superior surface and the inferior surface. Now the superior surface, there is a facet for articulation with the clavicle and it forms the acromioclavicular joint. This also I told you, I guess. Now let's talk about the subscapularis muscle. Okay, now the subscapularis muscle is in relation with the costal surface. Okay, now the subscapularis muscle is a a multipinate muscle. Okay, now it arises from the medial two-thirds of the subscapular fossa. So what is the medial two-third portion? See, this is the medial border and this is the medial two-third. Okay, almost over here. From here it arises. Alright, now the supraspinatus muscle. Okay, the supraspinatus muscle, it arises from the medial two-third. The medial two-third, this is the medial border, the medial two-third of the supraspinous fossa, including the upper surface of the spine. Okay, the upper surface of spine is also included. Now this forms the supraspinatus muscles attachment. Okay, now the infraspinatus arises from the medial two-third of the infraspinatus fossa, including the lower surface of the spine. Alright, so this over here is the attachment of the infraspinatus muscle. Okay, and here in the supraspinous fossa there will be attachment of the supraspinatus muscle. It will also cover the part of spine. Okay, now this was very much important. See, now talking about the deltoid muscle, the deltoid arises from the lower border of the crest. So this was the crest of the spine. Okay, now it has two borders, the upper border and the lower border. Now the deltoid arises from the lower border and from the lateral border of the Ackermann process. I told you that the Ackermann process has two borders, the medial border and the lateral border. Now the deltoid muscle arises from the lower border of the crest of the spine and from the lateral border. So this is the attachment site of the deltoid muscle. Okay, now over here in the lateral border, the acromial fibers are multipinate. Okay, now there are some acromial fibers which are multipinate. Now coming to the trapezius muscle, it is inserted into the upper border of the crest of the spine. Okay, this was the crest of the spine and in its upper border, here it is the attachment of the trapezius. Okay, and also into the medial border of the Ackermann process. So this is the attachment site of the trapezius and this was the attachment site of the deltoid. Okay, you can remember it in this way: the top border, T for top and T for trapezius, and D for down and D for deltoid. Okay, in this fashion. So that is a short trick from my side. Okay, now coming to the serratus anterior. Now the serratus anterior muscle, okay, it is inserted along the medial border of the costal surface. See, the serratus muscle is inserted into the medial border of the costal surface. Alright, now one digitation from the superior angle. Okay, one digitation starts from here, the superior angle of the to the root of the spine. So this is the root of the spine. The root of the spine is the medial most part. Okay, now from the superior angle to the root of the spine. Okay, now two digitations from the medial border, the costal surface, and 5 digitation to the inferior angle. Okay, now this is how the serratus anterior is oriented. So I told you about the serratus anterior. It is attached in the medial aspect. Okay, now from the superior angle to the root of the spine, there is the first digitation, the second and third over here, and the rest are here near the inferior angle. Okay, now coming to I told you about the spinal glenoid notch, no? So it helps in I mean the communication of the supraspinous fossa with the infraspinous fossa. All right, and I told you the about the lateral border, that it's thick, almost a rod like, and see it helps acting like a lever, because the serratus anterior is attached here and it helps in during abduction of the arm. Okay, so it acts like a lever. Now coming to the long head of the biceps brachii, it arises from the supraglenoid tubercle over here. See over here it arises from the supraglenoid tubercle. Alright, and the short head from the lateral part of the tip of coracoid process. See, this is the coracoid process. Okay, it has a lateral part. See, this is the tip of the coracoid process. It has a lateral part and the medial part. Okay, now the long head of the biceps arises from the supraglenoid tubercle, superior glenoid tubercle, and the short head of the biceps brachii, it arises from the lateral part of the tip of the coracoid process. Alright. Now in this tip of the coracoid process, I told you that in the lateral part we have the attachment of the short head of the biceps brachii, and in the superior glenoid tubercle it was the long head of the biceps brachii. Now in the tip of the coracoid process, medially, okay, medially we have the attachment of the coracobrachialis, and laterally for the short head of the biceps brachii. Okay, so that you should remember that medially we have the attachment of the coracobrachialis, and in the lateral part we have the short head of the biceps brachii in the tip portion. Okay, now coming to the next group of muscles, but before going to that, I would like to show it to you through a diagram about the different muscle attachments, so that you don't find any problem. Then we'll move to the dorsal aspect and see the muscle attachments of the lateral border and the medial border. Okay. See this diagram over here. Okay, this is the costal surface of the scapula. I told you about the costal surface. Alright, this one, it's like here. Okay, this is the costal surface. Now see, this is the attachment of the subscapularis muscle in the medial two-third. Okay, now this was what I was talking about. This is the tip of the coracoid process, and we have medially we have the coracobrachialis, and laterally the short head of the biceps brachii. Okay, now see, you can appreciate this long head of the biceps brachii, it arises from the superior glenoid tubercle, and the long head of the triceps brachii, it arises from the inferior glenoid tubercle. Okay, now this is the clavicular facet which articulates with the clavicles, acromial end. Okay, I will come across the pectoralis minor and coracoclavicular ligament. Now, and see, this was the attachment of the serratus anterior, see, in the medial border, costal surface. Okay, now here is the first digitation, then here is the second and third, and here is the fourth to eighth digitations. Okay, so this is how it is attached. This is the suprascapular ligament, so here it will be attached the suprascapular ligament. Okay, this is the suprascapular notch. Now there is one important thing to be noted over here. The suprascapular vessels, the arteries, it goes above this ligament. Okay, and the suprascapular nerve, it goes below this ligament. Now this ligament acts as a bridge. Now the arteries pass above it and the nerves pass below it through this notch. Okay, and you can remember it through an analogy that the armies pass over the bridge and the navy pass below the bridge. Okay, the armies pass, A for army and A for arteries. Now it passes above the bridge of this suprascapular ligament, and the navy passes below it, the nerves. So this is how it works. Okay, now in this diagram, this is the dorsal aspect of the right scapula. I want to focus your attention in some important attachments. Okay, now this is the supraspinatus, I told you that it is attached in the supraspinous fossa. This is the infraspinatus muscle. Okay, it's attached in the medial two-third. See, infraspinatus, and supraspinatus is attached in the medial two-third of the supraspinous fossa. Okay, now this was the trapezius. Okay, this was the crest of the spine, and in its upper border we have the trapezius muscle, and it was extending up to the medial border of the acromion process. Okay, this is the trapezius, and in the lower border till the lateral border of the acromion process was the attachment of the deltoid muscle. Okay, now coming to this long head of the triceps brachii, I told you that in the inferior glenoid tubercle there will be the attachment of the long head of the triceps brachii. Alright, and in the inferior angle we have the attachment of the latissimus dorsi muscle. Alright, now let's come to the dorsal aspect, and we'll look at the borders, I mean the attachment of the muscles in the respective borders, in the lateral border and in the medial border. Alright, now there is one more important attachment in the coracoid process. In the medial border, see, this is the medial border of the coracoid process and its superior surface. Okay, so here, over here, there is an important muscle called the pectoralis minor muscle. Okay, so this provides attachment to the pectoralis minor muscle over here. Alright, now the coracoid process has a vertical part and a horizontal part. Okay, there is a vertical part and this is a horizontal part, so that's to be noted. Now coming to the dorsal aspect. Okay, in the lateral border, right, sorry, in the medial border. Okay, in the medial border, so over here. Alright, now the levator scapulae muscle, it is inserted along the dorsal aspect of the medial border. Okay, from the superior angle up to the root of the spine. So here there is attachment of the levator scapulae. Alright, now there are two more important muscles. The rhomboid minor, it is inserted into the medial border. Okay, a dorsal aspect opposite to the root of the spine. So over here will be the rhomboid minor, and the rhomboid major, it is inserted into the medial border between the root of the spine and the inferior angle over here. So here will be the rhomboid major. Okay, remember, levator scapulae, rhomboid minor and rhomboid major, it will form the dorsal aspect of the medial border. Right, now coming to the lateral border. Okay, on the lateral border, I told you that in the inferior glenoid tubercle there will be the long head of the triceps. Okay, the long head of the triceps will arise from the infraglenoid tubercle. Now there is an important muscle called the teres minor. Okay, it arises as two slips. Okay, from the upper two-thirds of the rough strip of the lateral border. Okay, now between these two slips of the teres minor, here in this notch, okay, here will be the circumflex scapular artery. Circumflex means it's surrounding the clavicle, means it's supplying both the surfaces. Okay, so that is called the circumflex scapular artery. It lies between the two slips. Now, so here will be one slip, here will be other slip of the teres minor muscle. Like this, the teres minor was present above. Here also teres minor is present above. Now below to it will be the teres major. It arises from the lower one-third, okay, of the rough strip of the dorsal aspect of the lateral border. Okay, so here will be the teres major. Now the latissimus dorsi, it arises from the inferior angle. Alright, now let's come to the okay, now from the let's come here, the suprascapular notch. Okay, so the suprascapular notch was present over here. Now the inferior belly of the omohyoid muscle, it arises from the upper border near the suprascapular notch. So over here, there should be a, I think it's broken, there should be a triangular spinous projection. Okay, now from there will be the inferior belly of the omohyoid. Okay, in the upper border near the suprascapular notch. It will be the inferior belly of the omohyoid muscle. Okay, so these were the important sets of muscle which I wanted to describe. Now, okay, so let's come to the acromion process. Okay, now in the acromion process, and the margin of the glenoid cavity. Now over here, okay, I told you that it gives the attachment to the fibrocartilaginous membrane called the glenoid labrum. Okay, here will be the glenoid labrum. Now the margin of the facet, see here was the facet of the medial aspect, in the medial aspect of acromion process. Okay, here is a facet which it is attached to the, which is in relation to the clavicle, okay, in the acromial end. So it gives attachment to the capsule of the acromioclavicular joint. So it will give attachment to the capsule of the acromioclavicular joint. Okay, now see, let's come to the coracoid process. Now in the lateral border of the coracoid process, that is over here. Okay, this is the lateral border of the coracoid process. Now the coracoacromial ligament, okay, the coracoacromial ligament, see in the lateral border of the coracoid process, the coracoacromial ligament, it means there will be a ligament present which is attached to the coracoid process and the acromial process. Okay, so this is called the coracoacromial ligament. So it's present from the lateral border of the coracoid process to the medial side of the tip of the acromion process. Okay, over here. So it's attached like in this way. All right. Now coming to the coracoid process. Okay, near the root, here will be the attachment of the coracohumeral ligament. Okay, now the coracoacromial ligament was here, okay, in the lateral border. Now in the root, okay, over here will be the attachment of the coracohumeral ligament. Now the coracohumeral ligament, you can understand by its name that it will attach the, it will be in relation with the humerus and the coracoid process. Alright. Now this part of the video is a bit important. See, this is the superior aspect of the right scapula. Okay, this aspect. Alright. So I would like to highlight some special attachments. See, this is the coracohumeral ligament. So I told you the coracohumeral ligament. See, this is the coracohumeral ligament. This is the point of attachment of it over here. Alright, at this point. Now this is the coracoacromial ligament. Now the coracoacromial ligament is in relation with the, see, the medial border, the superior aspect of the acromion process. See, here is one more attachment point of it. So this is attached like this. This is the coracoacromial ligament. So it's attached to this point. Now coming to the coracoclavicular ligament. Okay, now it has 2 points of attachment. See, the first part over here. See, it has a conoid part and it has a trapezoid part. So I think you remember from the clavicle video. See, I taught you that. See, there is in the inferior aspect, in the lateral one-third, there is a rough elevation. See, so this was called a conoid tubercle and there was the trapezoid ridge. Okay, so this 2 portion, it is in relation with this conoid and trapezoid parts of the coracoclavicular ligament. Okay, which is in the coracoid process of the scapula. Alright, and I told you about the coracohumeral ligament. It's present in the root of the coracoid process. Okay, at this point. Now I told you about the inferior belly of omohyoid. See, this is the inferior belly of omohyoid and it's attached here. I think it's able to focus. See, over here near the suprascapular notch in the superior border, lateral to it. See, okay. Now this is in the superior surface, in the horizontal part of the scapula. it's the attachment of the pectoralis minor muscle. All right. Now, so this is the conoid and trapezoid parts of the coracoclavicular ligament. Now over here at the tip of the coracoid process, now medially we have the coracobrachialis and laterally we have the short head of the biceps brachii. Okay, so that is given. Now that was pretty much about it. See, here is a transverse ligament. Okay, it's also called a suprascapular ligament. Now this ligament turns the suprascapular notch into a foramen. Okay, just like it, we may have a spinoglenoid ligament as well over here in the spinoglenoid notch, which will turn it into a foramen. Okay, and the suprascapular nerve and vessels will pass deep to it. Now what happens is the suprascapular nerve and vessels, it supplies both the muscles of the supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa. Okay, so it supplies it. Now I covered all this portion. See, this is the coracoacromial ligament. Okay, it is going to attach with the medial superior part of the medial border in the superior portion of the acromion process. All right. Now this was about it. Now I would like to highlight your attention over this aspect of the scapula. See, this is the acromion process. This is the coracoid process. I told you that there will be an attachment of the the coracoacromial ligament. Okay, coracoacromial ligament. Now this portion, it acts like a hood and it gives support to your clavicle. Okay, and it gives a protection to the to the scapula. It gives a protection like a hood. So this is an important point to be noted over here. Now I think I have covered pretty much about the scapula. Okay, and yeah, see, now in the ventral aspect, see, in the ventral side, now the muscles attached to it will be supplied by the ventral division of the brachial plexus. Okay, the muscles attached to this portion, in the posterior surface, the ventral side. Okay, it will be supplied by the ventral division of the brachial plexus, and this dorsal part will be supplied by the dorsal division of the brachial plexus. Now there are more important facts which I will cover in the second part of the video.